Hey everyone, it's Liz here from the Nail Hub, and I am excited to do another podcast episode today. I wanted to actually talk about something that came up because of a conversation I had via DM on Instagram. And this is an interesting part of the content that I put out, which is sometimes I get messages from people where my content has helped them so much that they've realized, maybe if you want to call it the error of their ways, and they are now realizing that they have a lot of work to do to kind of turn everything that they have been doing around. And I'm always really excited when this happens because it's something that is a goal of mine when it comes to the content that I share. I always want to help everybody be the best that they can be, whether it be, they're working as a nail professional or they're just getting started in their hobby. Maybe they're starting beauty school, all of the different parts of the timeline that are part of this entire nail lover journey are really important to me. So this particular person is a nail professional, and they responded to one of my posts that I had done. I'm really focusing on a lot of education on my social now, and I've really doubled down on just trying to provide as much value and quality as I can. So this person reached out to me and they were saying, Liz, I just had an epiphany. I was looking at the content that you've been sharing, and I realized that I am the one who is damaging my clients' nails. My clients have gotten their nails so thin now that I'm freaking out. I don't really know what to do. I have been really heavy-handed with my e-filing. I have definitely been thinning out their nails unintentionally, and I don't know how to come back from this. And I can totally understand that this person is very worried, because when you realize that you have been doing something that is ultimately detrimental to your clients, and it might cost your clients, or it might cost your clients the ability to continue to wear product, I completely understand how that is. And I wanted to talk today about how making mistakes is totally normal. It's part of the learning journey. And I do think that when we look at a lot of the education that's provided in our industry, and I've talked about fear mongering in the past as well, I do think that a lot of the education comes from an admonishing perspective, right? So it's like the finger wagging, don't do this, you should never do this. If this happens, you're a terrible person. I do feel like there's kind of that undertone with a lot of the information that gets put out by our industry leaders, and just in general when we're sharing information as an industry and as a whole. And I wanted to approach this because I think that it's really important to normalize making mistakes. So obviously, when you start doing services on clients, you aren't going to be an expert. One, beauty school does not actually teach you how to be a nail expert. They teach you how to basically try and keep everything clean and avoid disease transfer between clientele. But at the end of the day, unless you have a very unique experience, and I'm not going to say all nail schools are like this, because I do know that there are some people that lead very, very wonderful nail schools, but I would generalize that to the US and say that most of the board certified, beauty schools that are funneling people through the boards of cosmetology, one, they just simply, don't have the time. I think there's some issues there with getting people to actually pay the amount of money and spend the amount of time that would be needed to do that. And also the Board of Cosmetology for all of the different states in the United States, at the end of the day, I don't know that they really care whether or not people are good at being nail technicians. I think they're more concerned about, are clients safe? So there's just a big disparity there. And so when you graduate from beauty school, you're going to need to take continuing education to actually hone your craft. And this is something that I think is really frustrating for a lot of people that actually graduate from beauty school, because they get their first job or they start doing nails and they go, whoa, I really don't know what any of this stuff is. And that's how I get a lot of people on my channel. They start watching my gel nail fundamentals. They start, researching things and finding me and watching my YouTube videos. And I think that's really how a lot of people are filling in the gaps in their education, which is great. I'm happy to do it. But at the end of the day, when you start working on clients, it's something where you just aren't going to be good at it. You are going to, try and learn on the fly. You're going to be charging people at the same time, but you're going to be actually honing your craft as you're working on people. And hopefully within a couple of years, that will completely start to iron itself out, and you will actually become a very well-oiled machine. But I do think that since there is really no education about all of the tools that we need to use to actually facilitate services in a reasonable amount of time, because not only are we up against how do we actually provide nails that last for our clientele and look pretty and are well-shaped and all of that, But we also have to do it in a reasonable amount of time, because if you hand file everything, or if you take 4 hours to do someone's nails, one, you're going to be losing money, and two, the client isn't going to be happy with that kind of schedule. They're going to get bored. They're going to get ants in their pants. They're not going to be able to sit there forever. And pretty soon they're going to go, this takes too long. I don't care how great these nails are. I need to go somewhere where I can get this done in an hour and a half. So when we start using tools like e-files, for example, and I do think that e-files is one of those areas where you'll see a lot of that fear mongering. You'll see a lot of that finger wagging, like don't do that kind of stuff. Yes, that's all fair. And yes, that information does need to be communicated, and we do need to do better when it comes to using an e-file properly. All of us do. And I'm also constantly learning about better techniques when I'm e-filing, and I've been doing this for over a decade. But at the end of the day, I think that there's something to be said for normalizing the fact that you are actually going to make mistakes. So this particular person, they reached out to me and said, I don't know what to do. I've thinned out my client's nails. They're starting to get some onycholysis, which is the nail plate lifting from the nail bed. And I'm starting to freak out because, how do I tell my client that, I need to basically start from scratch. I need to shorten all these nails down, and that we're going to have to kind of rehab their nails. And it just made me think about how, making mistakes needs to be acceptable. Recognizing mistakes absolutely needs to be the result of that. You need to be able to acknowledge that you made a mistake and do something about it, which is educating yourself more, looking deeper into what you're actually doing and what's actually causing those issues, and adjusting as you move forward, right? Because if we just stay stuck in what we're doing and we just ignore it, if we put the horse blinders on and we just ignore it, you're never going to change. You're never going to improve. But this person, one, reached out, acknowledged that they've made a mistake, which is half the battle. Two, reached out for education from someone that they saw was an expert in that area, which is me in this case, which is wonderful. And three, that interaction with me is going to help them improve what they're doing. So I provided advice to this person. I said, hey, here's how I would handle it. It's up to you if you want to be, fully transparent with your clients. Because at the end of the day, sometimes I do think that there is an important kind of level of mystique that we need to maintain with our clientele. You can be honest with them and say, hey, I think your nails, we need to pivot here a little bit. I think we need to do something a little bit different to make sure that they stay healthy and that we're keeping an eye on that. Do you need to take full responsibility and personal, guilt and shame yourself in front of your client? Personally, I don't think so. I think you can pivot away from it and keep it kind of professional, and keep it kind of glossy. If you want to be fully transparent, that's totally up to you. But at the end of the day, I think it's important just to own it, figure it out, move forward. Okay. So this particular situation, I'm actually going to be including this as my first video for nail audit, which is going to start after the new year. And I'm very excited about nail audit because these are the exact kinds of situations that I want to include. These kind of situations where I get sent a picture, the person's like, oh my God, what do I do? Here's where I am. Here's the situation. Liz, what do you recommend? How do I pivot away from this? How do I shift? What do I do to kind of get this back on track? That is exactly what I want to do with nail audit. So I'm going to be calling this entire new program the nail audit. I am going to release all the details in a separate video, so don't worry about that just yet because I'm still organizing some of the ways that things are going to get uploaded. But this is going to be super cool because it's going to create that sense of community where you guys are going to be able to belong to a membership, see all of the content that I'm providing, see actual specific answers to people that are actually uploading user-generated content, which means people are taking pictures of their issues, of the nails they're dealing with, of the things that they are seeing. I'm going to allow everybody to do this. I'm going to allow professionals to do it, DIYers to do it, students to do it. Everybody can be involved in this because I think it's important to share this kind of education and this information. And I do think that by creating kind of a sense of community between these groups of people, it's going to help really show everybody that whether you're a client going to the salon or you're a DIYer doing your own nails, or you're a student who's in school, or you're a newly graduated nail technician, or you're a seasoned nail technician, or wherever you are on this journey, that there's a lot of stuff that we all don't know and that we can all help each other in our different areas of that, nail industry. And I think this is going to be such a powerful community, and I'm really excited to do it. And I think it's going to provide a lot of very specific troubleshooting information that is going to help people get what they need out of it. So more details on that to come. But at the end of the day, the most important part about what just came across my Instagram is that it's okay to make mistakes. I want you to give yourself some grace when it comes to making errors. If you cut somebody, if you burn somebody, if your application isn't so great, if your shaping isn't so great, if your color application isn't so great, whatever area you're struggling with, it's okay. All of us have been there, and it's just about what are you going to do about it. So all you have to do is take accountability for it, right? And acknowledge it, pay attention to it, put some energy into fixing it, double down on some education, practice, right? Try to change those bad behaviors. Like if you're heavy-handed, let's work on improving your heavy-handedness. Let's work on improving your knowledge around what you should be doing to address specific situations. Because to me, all of these errors or all of these mistakes come out of a situation where you have a cause and you're not quite sure what effect you should have on it. So you're kind of scrambling, trying to figure out, okay, well, I've got lifting. How do I address the lifting? Well, I got to get the lifting off. I know that, right? In this particular situation with this particular person, the cause was I'm experiencing lifting. And when you're experiencing lifting over and over and over again, you've got to constantly remove the lifting. And every time you're removing the lifting, you might be going past the lifting, filing through that natural nail again. And again, every 2 weeks, if you're doing this, that natural nail is going to get very, very thin. Okay, so in this particular example, we're going to go through that in detail, but there's always a cause and effect. And so if you can identify what the cause is and you can actually address the heavy-handedness is one symptom of it, and the e-filing and all that stuff is definitely a symptom. But to me, the true cause of this person's nails getting thin is because you're experiencing lifting and you're having to address that all the time, right? So you're constantly touching the nail. You're constantly having to, take stuff off, which we know every time you take stuff off and put stuff back on, that's one more area where we can get a lot of thinning. And then on top of it, the way you're removing that lifting is going to ultimately take it to the next level of damage or errors or whatever. So I hope you guys will, absorb this message, which is it's totally okay to make mistakes. It's about taking that accountability. It's about doing something about it. We're about to move into a brand new year, which is very exciting. So this is an opportunity for all of us to really put some goals down, even if it's pen on paper, right? If you want to write down what your goals are, maybe right now is a good time to assess what you've been doing wrong. What are the areas of nail care that you feel like you're not doing well? And what do you want to do about it? And when I start nail audit, you can submit all of that stuff to me and we can go through it together and we can improve upon that and make sure that you're set up for success, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really always enjoy sharing with you, and I love just the engagement I get on all the different social platforms. Please keep it coming. If you're enjoying my content here on YouTube, please let me know. If you're enjoying my content on Instagram, please let me know, and I will definitely have more details to come about nail audit next year. Bye.